Tonight on CTV News, weather warnings in place for the region. We have the details. The saga continues for the Christchurch Cathedral, and it's an art project that could get you amped for new lamps.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to CTV News, now streaming live every night at ctv.co.nz. Well, we begin tonight with a strong weather warning that's in place for most parts of the region. Heavy rain and high winds are expected overnight, which could cause some issues for locals. Conditions around most parts of Canterbury can expect severe gale force winds from tonight through to tomorrow morning. Areas most at risk include the mid and north Canterbury foothills, with winds expected to get up to around 170 kilometres an hour in the high country, but they could also get up to 120 in other places. The winds could also see damage to power lines, and motorists are being advised to take care on the roads. Heavy rain is also on the cards as well, with locals advised to take care around rivers. And Mercy will have more in CTV weather later on in the program. Well, the saga continues regarding the Christchurch Cathedral. It appears a senior Auckland lawyer has been brought in to negotiate future plans for the historic building. Queen's Counsel Miriam Dean is believed to be working with the Christ Property Trustees and the Great Christchurch Building Trust, the group headed by former MPs Jim Anderton and Philip Burdon, who are trying to save the cathedral. The group's concerned church property trustees won't save the cathedral, severely damaged back in February 2011. Plans for the future of the cathedral stalled in 2011 after Anglican leaders came out in support of plans to partially demolish the building. On to other news now. An international artist has nearly completed a new art installation in the city. 3 years in the making. Chelsea Daniels has more.
You may have wondered, what are these new lampposts popping up on Park Terrace and where do they come from? Well, here's the answer. Scape Public Art are currently in the midst of a new project called Solidarity Grid, a project that's been in the making for over 3 years now.
The work has actually another sort of international gesture of kindness coming through. Misha came up with a concept of Scape working with him to invite 21 cities from around the globe to gift a street light to Christchurch. So it's almost like those cities are sitting over our shoulder watching us, shining their light on us as we rebuild.
International artist Mishka Kabul's idea of shedding the positivity of light began in 2013, and now Christchurch is welcoming 21 donated street lamps from around the globe.
We have a curator who invites artists through their relationships, reputation and knowledge, and our curator asked Misha if he would come up with a work, and he felt very passionately about Christchurch because he'd been here beforehand, and he felt very honoured to be making a work in response to the city and how we found ourselves immediately after the earthquakes.
And they're practical, as the path has been left unlit for pedestrians and cyclists alike. The gesture is a part of the growing support each city gives to Christchurch through the rebuild and recovery process. There are currently 16 lights installed along Park Terrace now, with the project set to be complete by mid-November.
That work is nearly complete. We've got another 5 lights to install along Park Terrace.
Christchurch philanthropist and co-founder of Main Freight, Neil Graham, personally paid for the freight of the street lamps from around the world. The generous Graham passed away earlier this month, unable to witness the project he helped bring to light. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
A local man's rallying for changes to signs on one-way streets after the loss of a friend in a fatal car accident 2 weeks ago. His campaign's attracted a public following and the support of city councillors, but some experts wonder whether the problem needs a costly solution. Cass Merritt reports.
Realising you've turned the wrong way on a one-way street's hard enough by day, but even harder at night. As these crash pictures show, a wrong turn had tragic consequences recently, here on the corner of Salisbury and Durham Streets.
Friends of mine, Michael and Tony, were the ones in the accident on the 3rd of October on this intersection. Unfortunately, Michael passed away, and talking to the families and even the police, they believe it was a good idea to start a campaign about this.
The occupant of the car that hit John's friends also died. And while the crash is still being investigated, John's calling for flashing warning signs for drivers heading the wrong way on a one-way.
I believe it would alert drivers a lot faster and hopefully avoid anything like this happening.
His online petitions attracted over 1,100 supporters. It's even caught the eye of a city councillor.
We've got an opportunity as these streets are being redesigned, or whether it's one ways to two ways or one ways staying as they are but enhancements being made, we have the most cost effective time is to actually do it as we do those upgrades, so it makes sense to do it now.
Because the one-way sign I was going to
John's costed flashing warning signs through a national road sign supplier at $10,000 each.
To me, no life deserves a cost put on it.
But would warning signs really be the right way to go? National crash analysis figures show less than 1% of Christchurch car accidents are caused by drivers going the wrong way down one-way streets, just 20 out of 11,000 car crashes since 2010. A roading expert doesn't think the cost adds up to roll out the idea citywide.
If there was a particular issue, though, say at one or two locations, it could be an option to put some kind of warning at those sites.
Regardless, John is pursuing his campaign, desperate to stop anyone else suffering the loss he's going through. Cass Merritt, CTV News.
Well, have you ever been on the receiving end of an act of kindness? Well, Cantabs now have the chance to thank those that have helped them out and be a part of a public art project. Chelsea Daniels reports.
Scape Public Art and the All Right campaign invite all Cantabrians to join in celebrating local legends by urging people to share their stories with the hashtag #ThatTimeYouHelped.
What we're asking Christchurch people to do is to upload an image and a kind story of somebody who's helped them, and we want to make this collective archive which is really telling the pulse of Christchurch and Christchurch people's attitudes. We're working with the All Right campaign, so it's about mental health, and I think if you do a kind thing you feel good, and if you tell somebody about doing something kind you feel better.
Among the nominees is Steve and Emma Cliff, a couple who met their nominator at a cafe.
So I had a bad experience with a building company, and I met Steve and Emma down at a cafe one day. Well, I've met them a few times, but one day I got chatting and I was telling them about my bad experience and how I'd kind of run out of money to finish my house. And and I mentioned that I didn't have a fence, my dog was getting out. And anyway, then I got a message on Facebook when I was going home saying we'd love to do your fence for you and help you out.
The next day, Steve got to work, and just over a week later, she had a new fence and a new deck.
It had taken, the build took about 17 months and a lot of stress, and I was just short of funds. I couldn't really finish the job, and Emma and Steve just wanted to help me out, and it did an amazing deck, an amazing fence, and it's just fantastic.
And when she heard about Scape's That Time You Helped project, she couldn't think of anyone better to nominate.
I really wanted to get it out there, a positive story, because you hear so many negative stories about builders, and I wanted to put out that, there's some really great people out there that, want to help you out of the kindness of their hearts.
Steve's helped out in home repairs since the quakes wherever he can, and jumped at the opportunity to help someone out.
It was just opportunist, really, that it kind of happened that way. So it was sort of something we'd always planned on doing, and it just, it popped up, and it was quite a good thing to do. And we knew, being in the trade, we knew the story about the builders that had gone bust and left people in the lurch and stuff, so we thought, good opportunity to try and help someone out.
And he's keen to help out again in the future.
We'll continue to try and do this, as in years to come and stuff as well, because it is a nice thing to do, trying to help people out, especially the way things are in Christchurch.
He says he was slightly embarrassed about the nomination and wasn't planning on gaining any recognition for this kind gesture.
We never did it for anything other than helping someone out. it's it was just a nice thing to do, and we haven't told really anyone what we've done and stuff like that. So, it's really nice that she's done that and nominated us for it.
Entries for the campaign end on November 15th, with Scape encouraging Cantabs to post photos and their stories, which will become a part of the public assisted wall in the Restart Mall.
So we really encourage people to get out there with their phones, take a photograph of somebody who's helped them and post it so that we can see all of the kind gestures of Christchurch people at this time after all of the earthquakes and how we've changed as a community.
There have been hundreds of entries for this work in just 2 weeks. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Well, still to come here on CTV News, some more good news for the East. Welcome back to CTV News. Some good news now for the East with the New World supermarket opening in Redcliffs. Chelsea Daniels was there.
It's been nearly 5 years since the Redcliffs New World was destroyed by the quakes, but now locals have somewhere nearby to do their groceries again.
It's fantastic. We've been waiting a long time.
4 years. 4 years. We moved in 3 weeks before the February earthquake thinking, wow, we've got a supermarket on the end of our street. We had it for 3 weeks.
Owner Julia Spence says locals are thrilled about the new supermarket opening today.
Yeah, we've had a lot of locals tell us, the local community, that they're really looking forward to the store coming back. So I think there has been out here for the local community wanting somewhere they can pop down to.
She hopes this is the start of something bigger to come for the community.
I think it can only be a positive thing for the community that we're here, but I know that we're sort of in a wee hub here with a jeweller and chemist and cafe and clothing shop across the road. So I think it'd be nice to see a few more.
The new store has employed 102 staff, most of them new. Years in the making, the supermarket was a generally smooth process to get on its feet.
To be honest, there were a lot of challenges early on with consenting issues and traffic light issues, but to be honest, from my point of view, it's all been pretty smooth sailing. I've been very fortunate. Foodstuffs this is the 4th store that they've reopened in about 3 months. So by the time everyone got to me, they knew exactly what they were doing, and it really was actually just a really enjoyable process.
And the locals couldn't be happier about the shorter journey for some bread and milk.
It's great. It's really good to have a local supermarket open again.
I just live up the hill, so it's on the way home, and yeah, fabulous.
It's convenient. It's so much easier. We don't have to cross the causeway now. I can have CFDs, causeway free days.
Redcliffs New World opened this morning to a busy start with customers flying through the doors. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Child safety is becoming a concern at the front of Lincoln Primary School. This comes after several near misses crossing the road. Now staff and parents are calling for action. Laura Twyman reports.
Getting onto this site at 8:30 and off at 3 is becoming a dangerous task. With the school's road already boasting a complex intersection, Lincoln's population increase has congestion building too.
Our role's grown, the high school role has grown, the density of population has grown, the new homes, which means that there's so much more traffic.
Vivian Butcher says the busyness of the road has drivers behaving a little more erratically. She says vehicles often speed through here at faster than 50 kilometres per hour, while others ignore the crossing.
Very few of the children cross without an adult with them, but there's been some reported near misses when adults have been with them. We need to be looking at it and making it an awful lot safer.
Parents agree.
It is getting busier, and I guess with the new subdivisions down the road, it's going to get busier.
So many times the cars don't stop.
They do speed along here doing more than 50k.
There's a lot of cars, and sometimes people don't stop.
It's a bit of a concern. Lincoln's only going to get busier.
The situation's something local police have been made aware of, increasing their presence at peak times due to shared concern.
Children are precious. We don't want children being injured or maimed or even killed on our roads.
A solution now lies in the hands of the Selwyn District Council, which has the authority to change road signage and layout. 2 years after concerns were initially raised, the council were again made aware of this issue last month, but the community's waiting for action.
We'd like to see a slower speed through there, and ultimately the crossing moved further away from that intersection corner.
The Selwyn District Council says no action has been taken from their side yet, as the school has been closed for holidays. They say they hope to set up a meeting within the next week to discuss the situation and see what solutions can be reached, something the school intends to follow up. But for now, children get on with the busy term ahead, alongside this increasingly busy road. Laura Twyman, CTV News.
Well, now let's cross to Bridget Rutherford in the newsroom with what's happening in your neighbourhood.
Thanks for that, Jared. I'm Bridget Rutherford. Richmond will get a new paddling pool. The paddling pool, which is currently in Avebury Park, will be demolished due to earthquake damage. It wasn't scheduled to be repaired this year, but thanks to the submissions of a group of young mums, the demolition will begin in the first week of November. Deputy Mayor Vicky Buck says it will take until at least the end of the year for it to be rebuilt and upgraded. A map blunder meant City Council contractors painted no stopping lines in the wrong place on a Cashmere street. The City Council was meant to paint yellow no stopping lines at the entrance of Cashmere View Retirement Village on Rose Street to improve visibility, but the lines were accidentally painted on the one street over on Rose Street outside Cashmere View Street. The City Council contractors say misinterpreted the map and the lines will be corrected as soon as possible. It will cost $50 to install new lines in the right location, and the ones already painted will remain there. Linwood North Primary School pupils had a visit from a 1,200 kg hydro demolition robot last week. The robot was accompanied by skirt contractors who told the pupils it needed a suitable name and it was up to them to come up with one. 5-year-old Michael Hotter from Room 1 came up with the winning entry, Geo. The contractors were using the robot to break through concrete and other materials to gain access to wastewater pipes on Woodham Road. Geo can use up to 180 litres of water a minute with pressure ranging from 0 to 40,000 psi. Dancers will have a brand new stage to perform on at next month's Hororata Highland Games. There will be nearly 100 dancers competing at the Games in more than 30 categories. The new 70 square metre stage is being built at Hororata Domain thanks to funding and volunteer labour from local businesses and charities. For the past 4 years, the Games have used temporary stages. Games organiser Cindy Driscoll says it's been hard getting the temporary stages perfectly level, which can affect dancers' performances. Dyers Pass Road was the scene of another crash early this morning. Police say a man waved down a passing motorist just before 1 after he had crashed his vehicle. The motorist rang police before taking the man to hospital. Police were unable to say where the man had crashed. In July, the road was partially closed for a couple of hours following a crash near Craycroft Terrace that left a man trapped in his vehicle. And the Garden City Fellowship has been granted a 5-year lease for the Hey Hey Link building in Waikola Ave. The Rickett and Wigram Community Board granted the church-based organisation the lease at its meeting last night. The church will use the building as a base to run 3 outreach programs from the site, benefiting the Aranui, Tongan and Hornby communities. While occupying the building, the church will make improvements at its own cost, including installing a new heat pump, new carpet and painting the interior and exterior of the building. The City Council-owned building was previously the Hornby Toy Library. From the newsroom, I'm Bridget Rutherford.
Thanks for that, Bridget. Was still to come here on CTV News, Sport and your local weather forecast. Welcome back to CTV News. Well, Canterbury Rugby League's decision to fine the Papanui Tigers $2,500 and dock them of 2 competition points in 2016 has been overturned by New Zealand Rugby League. Here's Gordon Finn later.
The championship winners were handed the punishment after fielding an ineligible player for the competition final against the Linwood Kias, having not met the minimum requirement of games throughout the season. Papanui have since appealed the decision to New Zealand Rugby League's Southern Zone, who have now overturned Canterbury Rugby League's original ruling.
It's been hard because we don't feel like we've actually won anything, which is sad because a lot of work's gone, and not just this year, but for the last 3 years, resurrecting our club. We take no pride in the fact that it's been dragged through the media. We've never, it's never been our intentions, but clearly CRLs themselves have wanted to go in that direction. But, it's hard because, we should be proud of what we've achieved on the field.
Meanwhile, Linwood Kia's president, Neil Michel, is now also of the opinion that Papanui have been hard done by with the new information that has come to light. The ineligibility incident occurred when Tigers player Wiremu Wipu was placed on a team card for a match against the Northern Bulldogs, which he was out of the country for. However, Papanui manager Nigel Thompson says that Canterbury Rugby League were well aware of this at the time. The appeals committee agrees, saying Wipu's name should have been removed by the match manager.
There was Canterbury Rugby League officials that gave us some pretty bad advice at the time. There was Canterbury Rugby League's official were aware of this, dating back right to the day of the so-called offence. And personally, I think there needs to be a complete look at the processes of Canterbury Rugby League, who's running it, who's making the decisions, because currently there's other clubs under investigation for all sorts of things in relation to team cards, but ours has been highlighted more because of the fact we went on to win the grand final for the first time in 17 years.
Repercussions of the committee's findings may follow, with Thompson believing heads should roll amongst Canterbury Rugby League's subcommittee. Gordon Findlater, CTV Sport.
Well, it's time now for your region's weather forecast.
Kia ora Canterbury. Well, today pretty warm temperatures but really blustery northwest winds, particularly for inland and exposed places. Today's highs first up though, 22 for you Timaru, Waimate, Temuka and Geraldine, and 20 for Twizel. Central Canterbury, Christchurch, you were on 22 today, along with Akaroa, and 23 was shared by Leeston, Darfield and Ashburton, 21 for you Methven. Heading further north, Kaikoura, you also shared that 21 trend, 22 though for Cheviot, Amberley, Hemner Springs and Oxford, and 23 there for Colvin and Rangiora. Over to the Alpine region now, Arthur's Pass taking out 11 today, 17 for Lake Tekapo, 16 for you Mount Cook. Now tomorrow we are expecting a southerly to come through, a little bit of rain. We were predicting heavy rain, but the moisture's backed off, so just light falls in the morning for you Timaru, and 14 degrees for your expected high. Ashburton, you can also expect a little bit of sogginess in the morning for your Wednesday. That should be clearing in the afternoon and evening though, 14 for you. Christchurch, a very similar trend for you here. Southerly winds, 16 degrees for your high though, and 10 for your overnight low. Those southerlies should be dying off. Kaikoura, you can also expect those southerlies to disappear throughout the day, with northwesterlies returning, and 15 degrees for your high there. The rest of the Canterbury region can also expect that trend. The rain will start with you guys South Canterbury around the dawn mark and move its way further northwards. Central Canterbury, expect those southerlies and a little bit of showers here and there, clearing up in the afternoon, 14 for you Akaroa and Methven, and 16 degrees for you Darfield. Heading further north, cooler temperatures than they were today, 15 degrees for Hemner Springs and 16 there for Cheviot, Rangiora and Oxford. Southerly winds in the morning dying off as the day goes on. Over to the mountain ranges now, southerly winds for Lake Tekapo and Mount Cook on 12 degrees. Taking a look at the upcoming days, Friday looking dry and fine, few southerly winds coming through, cooling down those temperatures. 17 is the expected high for almost everyone, apart from you Timaru on 16. Flipping over to Saturday now, looking really good for that long weekend. Sunny skies, the odd cloudy patch, but looking pretty good. 19 degrees for you Kaikoura, 18 there for Christchurch. On Friday, the rest of the Canterbury region can expect a few southerlies, particularly for South and Central Canterbury. As we head further north, light winds for most places. Cloudy skies here and there, but lots of sunshine. Watch those showers though a little bit for Arthur's Pass. On Saturday, mostly dry and fine. We're looking at a really calm and settled day on Saturday. Look at that beautiful sunshine for North Canterbury. So tomorrow morning we are expecting a little sprinkling of rain in the morning. That should be clearing up though in the afternoon and evening, and those southerlies dying off. Weekend is looking good so far as well. For now, that's your update for Wednesday.
Thanks for that, Mercy, and that is CTV News for Wednesday. You can find all our stories and bulletins on demand at ctv.co.nz. But for now, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jared McCulloch. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.